Hi, this is Martin Kidd, Chief Designer at Victory Amplification, and I'm here to talk to you about the controls on your Victory amplifier and help you get the most from it. V40 Deluxe and V140 the Super Duchess are single channel amplifiers which make great pedal platforms, or used on their own produce some fantastic vintage style guitar sounds. There are three main differences. V140 has a 3-position mid-kick switch instead of a 2-position. It has a long spring reverb tank as opposed to the shorter one on the V40 Deluxe. And lastly, the V140 is a full 100 watts as opposed to a nominal 40 watts on the V40 Deluxe. Other than that, the controls are all exactly the same. The first knob you come to, your first control, is the volume control, and that controls the amount of gain, the amount of signal leaving the first gain stage and hitting the second gain stage. As you might expect, lower settings will give you a cleaner sound with more headroom. And if you turn it all the way round to maximum, you'll get quite a bit of overdrive. We have Voice 1 and Voice 2. Voice 1 is a more open sound, and Voice 2 adds some more upper mid-range. If you want the cleanest sounds, we recommend Voice 1. The difference is quite subtle. Always experiment, see which you like best. There's no right or wrong. We have the treble control of the EQ section first, and that is affected by the voice switch that we've previously mentioned. Then we go along to the mid-range control. This is centered around about 400-500 Hertz and is assisted by the mid-kick switch. On the V40 Deluxe, the mid-kick is just 2-position, off, and then when it's on it boosts the lower mids, adds a bit more growl. We added a 3rd position on the V140 for the players that like a very clean and super high headroom sound. This extra position adds some presence to help them cut through the mix. Somewhat unusually for a guitar amplifier, we have two controls for the spring reverb. The first one you'll come across is the reverb tone, which takes off some of the high end for those that prefer a darker and less pronounced reverb tone. Conversely, if your preference is the very wet surf type reverb, then you might like to run the tone control and the reverb volume quite high. So next we come across the master volume, and as always, if you want super high headroom clean sounds, you would set the master volume high and the preamp volume low. The V40 Deluxe, if you want the power amp distortion, you'll find that comes more easily or more comfortably than the V140, which at a full 100 watts is a loud and articulate amplifier. Those players that like the lower headroom, chewier, more compressed, softer feel under your fingers type sound will probably go for the V40 Deluxe. However, those that like super high headroom, super clean, super articulate tones are likely to gravitate towards the V140. That said, both amplifiers have a low power mode. So the V40 Deluxe, you can switch the output down to around 8 or 9 watts. The V140, you can switch down to a nominal 30 watts. It will have a different feel and sound to a 30 watt amplifier because of the larger transformer and 4 output valves. Both amps in their low power modes will exhibit the characteristics that you hope for in a low powered amp. More sponginess, more compression. Power amp will overdrive more easily. This is something to bear in mind when considering what sort of venues, what sort of playing situations you're likely to find yourself in. You'll see that we have tremolo speed and tremolo depth, and this is a type of tremolo that works on modulating the output valve bias. For a very subtle effect, you would set your tremolo depth low and probably the tremolo speed low. And for a really staccato effect, you might set your tremolo depth high or even to maximum, and perhaps the tremolo speed up a little higher, even perhaps to the tempo of the song you're playing. As you can imagine, high levels of reverb and tremolo is quite an evocative Americana type sound. Both reverb and tremolo can be turned on and off using a remote foot switch too. We come to the effects loop on the rear panel. This is a series effects loop. I always say for time-based effects, you may get cleaner results using reverbs, delays in the effects loop. But if you're kind of player that likes to use a high headroom clean sound, you may find that you actually enjoy those kinds of effects plugged directly into the input socket in line with your guitar. So do experiment to see which you prefer. If you're not a fan of an effects loop, then you can hard bypass this so that you can take that circuitry out of the signal path. So also on the rear panel you'll find sockets for speaker connection, and a simple piece of advice is to match the speaker cabinet impedance with the correct socket on the back of the amplifier. On the website there is a downloadable manual which will give you all of the speaker configurations you can use with this amplifier. And finally, when the time comes to change your output valves, there are external bias test points and an external bias adjustment pot that you can turn with a screwdriver. So this enables for quicker and safer changing of your output valves. The V40 Deluxe and the V140 have been really well received among guitar players around the world, so enjoy your V40 or V140 and become part of that family.